Paramania Radio. Hi, I'm Dr. Dave, host of Rockin' with Doc. Come join me to explore the world of music and let it drive your soul. You'll hear songs like Here I Am, rock you like a hurricane, and this. How about some classics like this? No matter what you'd like, you'll hear it here. Now on Saturdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Join me every Sunday for the All Song Request Hour, where you, the listener, get to pick your favorite tunes. And Saturday for my weekly themed playlist. Hey guys, I got the perfect song for the show. What do you think about this?
Turn the hell is this?
Dude, this is not the boring psychic.
Oh, okay. How about this instead?
Take out the papers and the trash. This isn't it. Or you don't get no spending cash.
No. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The party is live every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, with a twist of metal. Melissa Bruce is the heavy metal psychic.
Only on Paramania Radio. Be there.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Paramania, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
You are listening to Paramania Radio.
You're listening to the Parasearch UK radio show with your hosts Kerry Greenaway and Jay Lynch, right here on Paramania Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Parasearch UK radio show here on Paramania Radio. I need to slow the hell down talking, don't I? Why am I? It's like I'm trying to talk into a race here. And they're off. No, anyway. I'm Jay Lynch, and I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host from the other side of the pond, Miss Kerry Greenaway. How are you tonight, lovely?
I'm on fire tonight.
Oh, really?
Oh,
no, that kind of, this is not that kind of show, is it? My bad.
Oh, sorry, wrong station. No, I feel... No, I'm really excited about tonight for some reason.
Yeah, I am too. It's going to be a good conversation. We'll get into that a little bit. But we do want to say that we are being joined tonight by Dr. Dave himself, and also Teresa Lynch has joined us in the conversation, or let's say in the studio, which is what? One's on this side of the pond, one's on that side of the pond, one's another state. Oh, hell, one of the studios.
We'll meet in the middle. How's that?
Yeah, we'll meet in the middle.
Hello.
Actually, the middle might be the ocean, so we might want to rethink that.
That's okay. Boat.
Yeah.
We could do it on a boat.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't make it the Titanic.
Captain Chris' boat. We could do it on Captain Chris's boat.
Oh, yeah.
He's got rum.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Some guest in the chat room already said something about Chester Bennington committing suicide. Yeah, and that was so tragic. And I enjoyed a lot of Linkin Park's music. I know Teresa wasn't that fond of and stuff, but they're one of the groups I used to like. And I caught them one time up at X Fest up here in Dayton, and it was a good show and stuff. But tragic, another tragic loss of the world and stuff. And depression is such a horrible thing. I'm blessed that I don't truly understand it. I've never felt my entire life like I've ever been sad, yes, depressed, no. And I just don't have a concept of it as far as experiencing it. And I pray to God I never do. So anyway, Kerry, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. I've got a really interesting subject for us guys to talk about tonight.
Well, let's grab the bull by the horns and jump right in this.
Let's do this. I don't like to chit-chat. You know me. I like to get down to business. Anyway, that's, again, a different station.
That's because she's
just a girl and she's on fire.
Oh.
You know me well.
Welcome, Ghostbox and James Steele, the show. Richard, it's good to have you here again. I wanted to say hi to people in the chat room. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Carrie, I interrupted you again. On fire.
I know. Right, tonight, guys, I thought... Now, this has come off the back of an investigation you guys did at the Ashmore estate, and it got me thinking. And you know what happens when I get thinking?
Yeah, I get in trouble.
Lots of people tend to get into trouble, and I do shouts out to lots of people in the paranormal field, and they're like, oh my God, what are you talking about now on one of your shows? Anyway, I want to start with something called the Singapore experiment theory. It's otherwise known, it's got other names, it's called, it can be called as a theory of familiarization, or the relative time to object, or paranormal stimuli. Now, we have mentioned this before a couple of times with various guests, but I wanted to explore this theory a little more with you guys because it will lead into what happened at your investigation at Ashmore Estate. So, first of all, should we have a look at the Singapore experiment theory a little bit more?
Okay.
Yes, explain it to me.
Okay, well, basically what you're doing is you're out investigating in a location and you're trying to recreate an atmosphere through audio or senses like smells or costumes or reenactments, that sort of thing, to try and encourage spirit to come forward so like they're more comfortable and recognise things so they can step forward and interact with us more. So that's basically what it is, which we've all done. We've all done this without maybe putting a tag or a label on it, but we've all kind of done this before, haven't we?
Oh, wow. I'm sitting here thinking that just hit the nail on the head for our investigation Saturday.
Exactly. See,
and it wasn't even intentional.
No, and this is half the time most people do it in the field and don't even realise that it's a thing or a theory, and that it can be really effective when you're investigating. So I wanted to sort of talk about this because when you was coming home, I actually had, we actually had a conversation while you was in the car for like an hour and a half while you was driving, didn't we? And whilst you was talking, and whilst you guys were talking, it kind of was firing off little triggers in my brain.
Yeah, that's scary when we're triggering off something in your brain. That'll make you nervous.
So let's have a look at just the normal view, and then we'll go on to see how this links into your investigation. So what do you think you would have to consider, I suppose, to use this kind of experiment in the field?
You mean as in like what time period the building or the location would have been up and running?
Yeah, so when you've got your location, so, what sort of things could you do?
You can always do reenactments of clothing type area.
Yeah, clothing,
you can do music.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have, like if it's a hospital, you bring in hospital-style things. And if you can get older-style gurneys and things like that in the building to use them for your whatever. I mean, there's all kind of trigger items. What we all, as everybody says, you bring in certain trigger items, but you bring in more time era specific.
Right.
Specific, not Pacific.
Specific.
Whatever.
Yeah, so it's like, for example, if you're in the UK, we've got loads of World War II kind of sites, and you could play an air raid siren going off. You could play some music relevant to the time period. You could even recreate, if you're at an army base type thing, you could recreate somebody shouting out orders that would be relevant to the time. Also, there are loads and loads of little different tricks you can play to try and create that kind of familiarity to the location. I use World War II because we actually did this at a place called Rotham Tower, and one of my investigator friends used to be in the army, so he was
sorry, my bad. I went laughing at that.
Hollering and carrying on, and I was like, "Did they do that in the army?" He was like, "Well, yeah." Okay.
The reason why I laughed, everybody, is as Richard in the chat room said, "Could you do the Singapore experiment at a haunted nudist camp?"
That means you'd have to get naked.
So that made me chuckle. My bad. I wasn't laughing at what Carrie was saying. I was keeping in tune with the chat room and got a nice little chuckle out of it.
You can play. You don't have to take your clothes off to have a good time.
Oh my God! We're live tonight, coming at you from inside the Insanity Asylum, karaoke paranormal.
It's kind of that vibe tonight, isn't it, guys?
Hey, I think you just started something.
Oh God! You can only sing songs that involve something paranormal.
That's right.
Oh, I'll be so.
Or related to the topic of the paranormal discussion. There we go.
While doing an EVP session or a Ghost Box session at the same time.
Oh wow, God!
I'll probably scare them off. To be fair, if I started singing properly.
Hey, I right now, I tell people all the time, I don't even sing in the shower because it's so bad the water turns itself off.
So guys, I'm going to go back
Drop
to
the
topic.
mic.
I just gloss that, go back to topic. So guys, the Singapore theory has been used incredibly effectively in locations. So let's have a think about some of the locations you guys have done and what you could have done possibly to do that. So, where have you been?
Well, we have
at the Rhodes Hotel.
At the Rhodes Hotel, it used to be a brothel, and we sent our 17-year-old, our 18-year-old, and our 19-year-old son. I think it was 18 and 19, not 17 and 18, but 18 and 19 at the time. We sent them upstairs into one of the rooms to where we know the men make claims of being groped there and stuff and grabbed by the groin and everything up in there. So we sent them up there with a $100 bill and told them to put it on the dresser and see what happened. and of course, we were filming for Paranormal Mysteries, so we had cameras in there filming what was going on and their responses and reactions. What?
Yeah, the mistake you made was a $100 bill because that's not period specific.
I know. But the first time we ever stayed there, I shouldn't do this on air, but I want to anyway. I want to get in trouble for this one. Yeah, you are. We stayed in that very room and stuff, and I had a serious question. I always say that men go in there, and the men that stay the night get groped and all this other stuff. So my question was, if I'm in bed with my wife and I get groped by this ghost prostitute, does that count as a threesome?
Oh my God!
What?
Only Jay would think of this.
But I'm in bed with two women. I'm getting fondled and groped. I mean, don't it count?
I'm with you, Jay. Here, I'm with you all the way on this one. This is important. This is an important thing.
Seriously, I mean,
you got to know.
And am I being unfaithful? It's a ghost. I'm not.
I'm being unfaithful.
I was asleep.
I was going to say, what kind of reenactment was you doing to want a threesome? I mean, there's taking this seriously and there's taking it to the next level. I think you guys might have been taking it to the next level on that location.
So that was just something, the question that I asked. I mean,
one of the nights, the one night we were there with the Parasisters.
Oh yeah, we was there with the Parasisters and Teresa and prostitute ghost.
We went upstairs. Each of the women took a room,
and we started sending the guys out one at a time.
Okay.
To reenact that situation of how a madam or would send up the men to each room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get that reenactment.
So going on to reenactments, is there more activity then when you get the clubs that go out and do battle reenactments? Do they experience activity whilst doing something like that? Do we know?
Well, I'd imagine so. I mean, I've not talked to anybody
know, but they don't.
I would have to ask. I know some people that do reenactments.
Yeah, we do.
Because that's something we could need to look into, really. Dave, do you know of anything?
Well, I do know of some teams that have done reenactments during investigations for quite a while, like Gettysburg and so forth, Civil War here in the United States. And they've gotten tons of amazing results from doing that. I know that we did some period music, playing some period music at the Henderson investigation that we did, which is a 6-month investigation we did. And it's kind of funny because we play the music, and the guy who was leading the investigation that night, I think he said something along the lines of, how's everyone doing? Just want to make sure everyone's doing okay. And you hear this on the recording, this loud grrr.
Oh, wow.
Just a loud growl, clear as day.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
Now, 2 things were also stated in the chat room. Ghostbox says, you hope it was a female prostitute. Never thought of that. Thank you very much for putting that into my head.
Yeah, that throws a spin on it, doesn't it?
And then James Steele said, do sexual spirits become incubi or succubi?
I was just going to say, Jay, you're lucky it would be an incubus, not a succubus.
Yeah, it would be. It's like I said. I always said that, everybody's like, well, if we can stay, and I tell my paranormal investigators so I can find out if I can stay, because if I have the choice, I want to stay. And I said, and I thought, it'd be so cool because, I don't know, I'm going to go haunt a strip club. And one of my buds said, and the next day to be a gay bar. And I'm like, damn. That would be my luck.
I mean, I know of a team in Australia, and this is a shout out to them. The lady is Sarah Chimasero, and she writes the blog Living Life in the Full Spectrum. And they did a reenactment in a prison. They were doing a prison, and the prisoners used to get straitjacketed. And they actually did a whole reenactment where they straitjacketed one of their members and then dragged them out into the shower block when it was the time. Time was key on that one because they did it at the exact time that would have happened in the times that prison was up and running. And they got some incredibly interesting EVPs out of that.
Wow.
You imagine a team member, right? Which one of you is going to get a straitjacket so we can drag you out to the shower block?
They're going to do that to me.
I was going to say, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm the 360's going to be the crash test dummy. If it's something asinine, stupid, or something like that, or something might get hurt in an experiment or something like that, I'm the one they throw in every time. And I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to do it.
I think you do need to have a mad one on your team to do something like that.
Yeah.
I put the bill again. And apparently so would Dave, because Dr. Dave's even going, pick me. So he did, yeah. Me and him investigating together could be a bad thing, because there's not going to be a whole lot of limits to what we try.
Lord, Jenny and I will have our hands full.
Yeah,
well, you do anyway.
Well, that's true.
Now, Richard in the chat room, he has done reenactment battles. And he actually spoke to me the other night, and he did them for 13 years, and he never came across anything out of the ordinary. But he did say that the stories were floating around. They did an event at a place called the Fountains Abbey, and he doesn't speak easily, but there were a lot of reports from members of encounters with shadowy entities.
That would be so cool.
So it's definitely a thing to consider. Now, also on this, as always, I like to throw it out to my para community that's out there. And as always, I get some very interesting responses on my Facebook page. I put out there, has anybody tried this? Now, some of the real, real investigators, that sounds awful, doesn't it?
What are you trying to say? You trying to say I'm a fake investigator?
No. I've
been down that road before. I don't want to go there
wrong,
again.
Clearly.
I've been down that road being accused of that before. I'm not playing again.
Karen Besant says she is a strong believer in using his history knowledge, how the people spoke in the past. He's speaking. That's another thing. They would not necessarily have spoken in the way that we speak today. So that's a factor.
There may be a language barrier there.
Exactly.
Oh, I like it. I like it when you have the TV shows that go over to, I don't know, South America or Asia and all that places and stuff, and ask questions in English and get the responses back in English. That just amazes me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to an ancient Aztec person in perfect redneck English.
And he's understanding it.
And they understand.
And responding the same way.
Yeah. How amazing is the spirit world? Yeah, I think you have to go on to that one.
You don't need a translator anymore. You know everything.
Our very own Ashley Nibbs, who we've interviewed on here before now, said that he's used the Singapore theory on many occasions and very successfully. He gets good results from just audio, particularly music. But he also did a whole Victorian seance, and they all dressed up. They had fresh bread, flowers, the relevant music playing, and they had some really interesting results from that.
I think that, like, when we were investigating the school, we did, like, children's music, classroom sounds, the bell for changing of the, classrooms, or going home at the end of the day. We did that type of thing. And we happened to know that the first meal that was ever made there was chili.
Okay.
So we brought a pot of chili. It didn't bode well for the rest of the investigation as we ate it, but
many demons were detected that night.
Yes, they were.
No, that's for check off me there. Poisoned the scene, but we had a great investigation.
Right.
And going on, last comment from a guy called Graham Smith, who I need to introduce to you guys because he's awesome, is from experience, the Singapore theory isn't a very effective method. In order to understand its effectiveness, he loves his data. Detailed data gathering of each experiment over multiple investigations with critical analysis of the data to truly assess its effectiveness. He's quite seriously scientific guy. I do think in some cases events that have transpired during various different experiments are down to individual perceptions of the potential witnessed phenomena. That was his take on it. So there's a bit of a cross thing, isn't there, going on with this?
Yeah.
Well, I can say also we did a audio experiment with the Ghost Box many years ago with Michael Esposito, who's a audio engineer and also an investigator, and he had produced a soundtrack that was all medical sounds, the kind of sounds you would hear if you were in a hospital room, as well as heartbeat monitor, breathing machines, all sorts of stuff, code blue, blah blah blah, all this stuff, and even to the point where the heartbeat would get faster and then go solid, and like the person died, and it was a good 20-minute track or whatever of all these sounds. And during the experiments with the Ghost Box, we were getting lots of comments related to what was going on, and then we kept getting please stop, it hurts, and as the track went on, when it got to the part where the heartbeat sped up and then it flatlined, the only thing the Ghost Box says was dead, gone, and then the Ghost Box actually powered off.
That would freak me out, pounding it off.
You guys were down in Old South Pitt when that happened, weren't you?
Correct. Yeah, that was at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
That's what I thought.
And that was actually really, really impressive. Because we were like, did it just turn off?
Wow.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, but we got amazing results in there. We did that experiment a couple times. So, you can get results. It's 6 half dozen other. I guess it depends on the spirit whether they're gonna participate or not.
Yeah. See, the other thing I was thinking of was if you had a location where there was a famous speech or a famous person that had lived there, you could use even like audio of that actual person speaking or that famous speech. I was actually, when I was thinking of that, I was thinking of Nuremberg and playing Hitler.
So you think of Nuremberg playing Hitler? I merely thought of Gettysburg and playing the Gettysburg Address.
Yeah, something
Lincoln.
like that.
But to have somebody actually have a recording of Lincoln saying it, that would be...
Right.
That would be absolutely phenomenal.
That's not going to happen.
But yeah, but you say that, you could get someone to impersonate that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
It'd be cool and help if you had somebody impersonate it at the time and the day on the anniversary of the Gettysburg Address. Somebody started impersonating it, but every once in a while, at the same spot that he gave the address, take a pause to see if they catch anything where he's residual of him saying it himself.
Mm. I mean, the other side of that is, we have Harry Price on our Parasearch channel, don't we? He does an advert for us from the grave. So, there's no reason why we couldn't do that with him. But no, there are ways of kind of different ways of looking at it rather than just playing a piece of music. You could, like I say, do an audio. I mean, sound effects, going back to the sound effects, they're easily got now, aren't they? You can download loads of different sound effects for free.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
To play. So, it's...
and you can also find Aristotle music for free and stuff.
Right.
I mean, but see, that's what happens where music's got to be a rough thing because, especially with you guys in the UK and all across Europe, your history has so much more to it. I mean, the era of music that you guys could go through, you would be actually looking for specific things then from that time period.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you would play something from the 1910, and it wouldn't mean anything to a spirit that had been there since the 1400s.
That's true.
So you guys have such a broad thing of, wow, I'm just trying to think of how could you traverse...
Their history goes much deeper.
Well, yeah, the written
But
history.
I think what you would have to do is, that's where your research comes in. So if allegedly there's a ghost there of, a maid from the 1920s, then you kind of target it. So that's what you would have to do particularly some of the houses or some of the castles we do over here, that we've got. Because there is, like you say, that extended history, you would actually have to target a specific alleged spirit that is alleged to haunt in that place, if that's a thing. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're making me think again tonight, quite intently. Monday night was a whole thinking night. You guys make me think again on Thursday night.
Well, this is what you did to me on the back of the Ashmore estate, because I wanted to take this, because it took it a next step. So can we now, at this point, explain what actually happened at Ashmore?
I don't know if we can explain it.
Yeah, we can. It's quite easy. For anybody that doesn't know, Ashmore Estate was last year was its 100th anniversary. It was built in 1916, opened up, and it was a poor farm and also used as an asylum. And back then, in an asylum, people who had mental handicaps were often taken and just to places like that, just dropped off, and nobody ever come back for them again. They lived out their lives in these institutions, and it was a working farm at the time, so it's not like they weren't physically unable to help out. They contributed to the environment things, and
it was kind of like a self-sufficient location.
It was a self-contained working farm. They had land that they farmed, and they had animals and livestock and stuff, but which is a lot common for a lot of the places around the United States. We were there Saturday night. We was blessed to be asked by Lake Erie Paranormal to come over. They were doing a benefit. They sold 20 tickets.
Yeah.
And the proceeds from those 20 tickets went to Lost Limbs Foundation, which is a foundation for children who have had to have amputations. A wonderful guy named Mike Couch, who is an amputee himself, started this up to help out children who were having to have amputations and stuff. So, I mean, everything was for a good cause. And we didn't know who was coming. It was pretty much an open investigation. Whoever bought your ticket, bought your ticket.
We knew that there was a group of 9 coming.
Right.
Because they bought their tickets together.
Right. And while we're there, this small bus pulls up, and it's 2 chaperones and 7 people, all adults, between the ages of probably, 30,
I'd say
35 to
mid-30s to 65.
65, some years old in there. So, and these 7 adults were
mentally
handicapped or mentally challenged, just like the kind of people that would have lived there back in the 1916 to about 1970, 1980s.
So they pulled up and we were like, oh my God.
We weren't prepared to handle that.
No.
And the one girl got off the bus.
We were doing a 2-hour lecture with Lake Erie. And we were like, how are we going to, how are they going to handle sitting through a 2-hour lecture? And they did phenomenally well. Asked really great
very
questions.
Intent questions and stuff. And the one girl first got off the bus. She had watched on her phone and stuff on the way up there. She watched a bunch of the
Ghost Adventurers and
TV shows that had been there and stuff. And she was freaking out a little bit. And she ran back out after being there about a minute and a half, holding on to the post, crying that the ghosts were going to get her and stuff. And eventually we started talking to her, and she came inside. It was quite interesting. But for the lack of better terms, it was actually human triggers, because that's the style of people that would have been put there, and we allowed them to. We just assisted them. We
let them run the investigation.
Right, we did it.
Jay and I worked with them.
We did a flashlight session. I know a lot of people say it's bunk and everything else, but it gives somebody an immediate response to it, and immediate something to see, and they saw it on TV, so they wanted to experience it. So we gave them that experience, and we explained to them too, and what was going on and what possibly could be.
But they were getting answers from.
They were getting
responses.
Quick. They were getting very quick responses.
Yes, there wasn't anything.
And they were also using some of the meters, like the REM pod, and there's also a.
We used K2 meters,
K2 meters and
meters.
stuff, and ELF meters. So they were using other pieces of equipment, not just a flashlight and stuff, and it was absolutely amazing.
The things that they picked up on that, I don't know, like the one we were upstairs in the room where you got touched on your head last year. We were upstairs in that room and we were doing a session, and there was the spirit of a little boy there, and the one older man said,
the one gentleman cracked me up. He was hysterical. He's very direct in his questions.
Questions were really.
But we got to him to ask. We was letting him take turns on asking questions. We got to him one time, one of the rounds, to ask questions, and he asked at one time. We established this. It was a nurse. She was around 23 years old, and he asked her, "Did you know Clara Barton
Florence Nightingale?"
Florence Nightingale.
I mean, he was like a history buff. It was amazing. He asked at one point, and his questions were always, "Excuse me, sir," or "Excuse me, ma'am."
Yes.
Whether we were talking to a male or a female. He's very direct like that.
All of them were.
Yes.
All were very respectful, very polite.
Yeah, like they were, it was, for lack of a better term, they gave more respect to the spirits than a lot of normal people do.
And the one even asked the question, are you a resident? Are you here working? And when the light came on, he said, "Oh, you're a resident, so you're like me."
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to respond to that. Besides, just let them ask their questions. Let them be. He asked,
"Did you know that damn fool, General George Armstrong Custer?"
One gentleman in history got so mad. He's like, "Did you know that damn fool, General George Armstrong Custer? That damn fool!" I just kept
got killed at Bull Run. "Did you know that damn fool?" And he just kept going on. We were rolling, laughing at him. But we were upstairs, and we were discussing it, and we discovered that the little boy was afraid. He was scared. And all of a sudden, this man goes, "Oh, you were molested." And I just kind of looked at one of their caretakers, and I was like, "Oh, I wouldn't say that." And I tried to gear it away from that. And then the next day we were talking with Robin Terry, the owner, and he says, well, he told a whole big story about it, but they think that did happen in the bathrooms. And this man just picked up on it, just boom.
And there was one, the girl that was afraid to go in at first kept saying how on the third floor, from down on the ground outside, she kept seeing a girl upstairs. And Robin Terry, the gentleman that owns Ashmore Estates in the Art Theater, asked her, said, "Can you describe her?" And she described her from the waist up, what she could see in the window.
Yeah.
And there's a 6-year-old girl that lives up the road in a farmhouse that her mom and talks with Robin all the time and says that her friend from Robin's place comes up and visits her all the time, plays with her sometimes. And the special needs young lady described almost identical to what the 6-year-old up the road described.
Even to the point of playing with the dolls.
And also about wetting the bed. Because don't go in the bathroom because the bathrooms are bad. The little girl went through a little session of wetting the beds for a long time because she was afraid to get up in the night and go to the bathroom because her friend from Ashmore had told her that bad things happen in the bathrooms.
Don't go to the bathroom at night by yourself because bad things happen.
Yeah, and when she come up to Ashmore one day when Robin was there, she used the bathroom there at Ashmore. So she goes, "Oh, that's not so bad," and immediately stopped wetting the bed. But the special needs lady had said something about how somebody kept peeing the bed. And I'm like, and we didn't put all this together till the next day when we were discussing it. How much it was. We
knew we got a lot of activity, but we didn't know exactly how much we got
until it was all
Sunday
broke up
when we were piecing
groups.
things together.
It was such an amazing experience too, and a mind-opening experience. If you know someone, I don't care what they are, physically handicapped, mentally handicapped, I don't care. If you know somebody that has questions about this field, that just opened my eyes up to a whole different dimension of it. That if you don't give them that opportunity, you're not only cheating them, but you're cheating yourself from a chance to learn, because the question lines and the focus of their minds, we don't understand their minds all that well, but when they do get onto an area that they want to be on, they're very knowledgeable about it, and they're very focused on it. And that focus is something that we all lack. It truly is. We're all over the place, and we got a response. Let's go to the next question, the next question, the next question.
Yeah.
Where they're more intent on their questions of following the same question line. It was amazing. It really was.
Yeah, I would say that in some aspects they were better investigators.
They were definitely doing better EVP sessions than I am, because I'm ADHD as all get out, and I can't sit still. But to listen and interact with them, it absolutely kept me focused, except for the one gentleman, Mr. Bill. Mr. Tom. I would turn around and he was gone.
Jake, oh crap, where did Tom go?
Quiet. He was never disrespectful. He was very respectful, even of the other investigators on the other floors. He walked very quietly. He usually kept his hands folded behind his back or in his pockets. Mm-hmm. He was probably about maybe mid-60s.
I'd say mid to late 60s.
Didn't say a whole lot. Didn't participate in as far as the sessions, but had a natural curiosity about the building and what other people were doing. And I would kind of walk up and find where he was at and see that he was just watching and stuff, and I would leave him alone. I mean, because he wasn't bothering anybody.
Yeah, they didn't bother anybody.
No, it was absolutely wonderful.
And it was funny because the investigation, they're
James,
at Ashmore.
James still said in the chat room, lacking in belligerence, just true empathy and sincerity.
Yes.
Very, very true. Very, very true. That group of those 7 individuals had absolutely no belligerence to them whatsoever. Very, very, very empathetic. Very, very. They were on that level.
They understood.
It wasn't like us trying to get to a level.
They understood better than we do.
Oh, absolutely. Especially where we were at.
Yeah.
It was absolutely mind blowing. It was amazing.
Then, they've got bunkhouses there. They have 3 bunkhouses, and Jay and I got one, and that other group got the other 2. And we closed down at 2 a.m. We were exhausted.
We were supposed to. We went about another hour. And they were still there. We were all interested. It was going good.
But after we went to bed, I woke up probably about a half hour or so.
Oh, no, we did go. We only went about another 20, 30 minutes. Because it was 3 o'clock in the morning when they said they all got outside.
Yeah. And I heard that what I thought was them that woke me up going to the restroom, because it was back behind our bunkhouse. And I heard them, heard the talking, just kind of rolled over and went back to sleep. Come to find out that both bunkhouses got woke because of the children laughing and playing and the music that was out back.
That was in the little play yard out back behind the bunkhouses. And they got up and went and investigated. Yeah. And before their caretaker said before this, they would have all kind of like, oh, you hear something outside. Someone would have got a little bit panicked or anything like that. They all got up and went out to see what it was and see if they could interact and talk with them.
So this begs a question to me. When we were talking about this was what we were discussing. And you've done Ashmore before. And you said the night you had on Saturday was a lot more active than it had been when you was there previously. Yeah. And you felt it was because the energy of the group was on the same level as the people that would have lived there at the time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, trust me, the place is amazing. Anyway, it's the 7 years of doing this. That was the first place I've ever had something actually make physical contact with me. Something had to come walk through a wall and lay its hand on top of my head gently. It wasn't nothing malevolent. It was almost like a parent or a grandparent laying its hand on top of a child's head. It was sitting in a chair. So it's not like it was anything like that. It was non-threatening. Of course, I've never had anything touch me, so I kind of get my walk across the room like something just touched my head, and I was kind of a little bit defensive about it because I wasn't expecting it. But even as amazing as that encounter was, even though I didn't have any actual physical interactivity or anything like that, witnessing what transpired with that group of individuals. And don't get me wrong, the other people that were there, they were absolutely wonderful. They were all very polite, very nice. They allowed the groups to intermingle for a while and stuff. I mean, once the night got rolling and stuff, we all kind of quit doing guided sessions and started let people just kind of intermix. They all interacted together. They helped each other out. Everybody was phenomenal. But to witness those 7 and how they handled themselves and how they conducted their experiments and how they conducted their questioning.
Yeah.
Puts a whole new twist to things for me. It makes me look at things in such a different light, and to have that, and like I say, it sounds terrible to have that human trigger item. I mean, it's because they always say, try to match yourself to your environment. Like if you go to a prison, try to act like you're a convict or a CO.
But it's not like we purposefully did that.
No, but what I'm saying is they didn't have to act.
No,
the spirits related to them. They weren't putting on an act like you or I would have to do. They were there. They were in the moment. They were the same as what would have been living there when the place was active. And because, you can tell it's an active somebody's trying to act like they're being you or trying to get to your level. You can tell it. You can hear it in their voice. That sincerity was there. Like James said in the thing, they were lacking just true empathy and sincerity. That was so amazing. That was absolutely so amazing.
And like you said, that's not something you can act.
No.
No more than you could go to a prison and act like a mass murderer. Your soul isn't that.
Right.
So you're never going to be credible to somebody who is an ex-murderer, for example. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Right. And I know for a fact that they're planning on coming back, except for this time they've talked to Robin about renting the bunkhouses and booking it as a private night instead of having an open night like that where they can bring us a few more people and stuff. And Teresa and I and Jason Schneider with Lake Erie Paranormal and Vicky with Lake Erie Paranormal, the four of us have already told Robin, let us know when they book it, we'll come back. We will volunteer to drive 4 hours, 5 hours to get there to work with that situation again, except we want to bring more equipment because there's different levels. Some of them were still going to be at the flashlight level. Some of them were, we actually, Robin brought his SLS and we had it out. And the last 4 or 5 that was hanging tough with us, including the one chaperone, were right there with that SLS and was amazed by it. So they had questions. So there's different levels of people, and just like with any other group, there's different levels of advancement. I was
holding the SLS at one point, and I went to turn around to scan the room and couldn't even move because they were like all over my shoulders and hunkered down over top of me.
But so we've already said if they book it again that we want Robin to let us know, and I'll go get a hotel room in town so that way they can have the bunkhouses because it's done through a nonprofit organization that gets these adults these trips. They have to raise the money and they fund these trips for these people to give them something different to do, something new experience, and they all want to come back.
They were a group out of Chicago.
Yeah, I was like, don't worry about that. We'll come over. We'll volunteer.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I was like, no, we'll be here. I'll take a day off from work if I need to. It was not just because of how amazing my experience was. It was amazing
watching them.
Yes, getting to learn from them, getting to see their excitement, getting to participate with them, and for the lack of better terms, actually do something beyond just teaching somebody else about the paranormal. Somebody that has just a desire to have an open mind, and to give them that. And we talked a lot about the energy work. They were fascinated with not so much at first with the equipment, but with the energy style of it. And Teresa talking about using the pendulums and things like that, which they immediately started seeing the flashlight. It went quicker, because it does. And the K2 meter
they were able to everybody see it
quick
at the
visualization.
Same time.
But it was just they were so intent on learning it, and their stories of their experiences. Some of them had experience, like the one girl describing the little girl that was there, or another man said that he saw the one lady, the one chaperone says she sees her relatives all the time. They never speak to her, but relatives that she has passed on, she sees them all the time. But they never speak to her, they never communicate with her or anything like that. She's never felt threatened or scared. She's seen them all since she was a child. So them to open up like that and tell some of the stuff that they've been guarding because they was afraid that they would get in trouble or people would think they was worse off than what they are. They didn't have that. They could open up and talk about it, and it was great.
Well, the one gentleman talked about the crucifix.
Yeah, one gentleman said he got hit in the head with a ladder, and after that, he's been able to his crucifix blinks its eye and it moves and stuff, and ended up telling him that he needed to get married. So he did. He found
got married 3 years ago.
Yep, him and his girlfriend that was in the location with him and stuff got married, and they now have their own place. They have somebody comes in, checks on once or twice a day, but they have their own place and stuff, and they're really progressing well. So I mean, it's to give them the opportunity to open up and not have to be persecuted about it. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah. See, going back to the human energy factor, I mean, we've talked about the Singapore experiment and recreating that environment to make spirits friendly. This took it to the next level because you had the human factor there of that energy level being the same as the people that were there. Now, this is going to be a little difficult on normal investigations in normal places that we do. For example, a prison, you can't just pick up your local friendly axe murderer and take him with you to an investigation to help that. But it did open the door to looking at that level. So you're taking that Singapore experiment onto the next level by bringing that human level factor in, which was evident in what you experienced at Ashmore this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was so amazing. I swear I can't. I hope I would almost help donate to pay for them to come back just so I could go back and work with them and enjoy that night with them. I really would.
It was such an amazing night, and not so much like I didn't truly investigate.
I couldn't. I didn't capture one piece of evidence.
No, I was so intent on watching them, and I love investigating with what we call newbies, the people that have never investigated before. I like doing that. Mm-hmm. And this just really kicked it up to an extra level for me.
Actually, everybody there that night, there was only one couple that had ever investigated before, and they had been on one other investigation. So everybody there was first-timers, including this group of mm-hmm. 9. And it was just such an amazing night.
The one caregiver, the lady, actually her shirt got touched.
Yeah, oh, yeah. That was so funny.
And she came
wonderful lady.
Unglued.
She wasn't coming unglued in a bad way.
No,
but Teresa was sitting beside. You remember the rocking chair or the wheelchair that I sent you the picture of, the old style with the cane, wicker cane on it, and Carrie?
Yeah.
Okay. She was sitting beside that chair. Teresa was sitting 3 people over from her, could see the chair and see her. About 3 seats over. And just about the time that Teresa said that the wheelchair was moving, something pulled on her shirt sleeve. That lady screamed, jumped up, and landed in Teresa's lap.
Landed in my lap.
And just sat there. And she wasn't scared, but I mean, she was startled scared, but she was also excited and thanking them for that interaction, thanking them for that touch, but still screaming and still laughing. And of course, the gentleman who kept asking about that damn General Custard lost it. He hysterically, absolutely just lost it, was laughing, and so was a bunch of other people. But she had that physical, actual contact. That's the same room where I got my head touched.
Yeah.
So a year before. So it was absolutely so interactive, and it was so laid back. And because, you go to a lot of these investigations, and people will sit there and like, oh, serious. We let them lead their own way. We just guided them. We helped them when they asked questions. If they needed help, we helped them. We kept them focused in a direction a little bit. And we allowed them to be them. We allowed them to ask their own questions
to do what they wanted
and experience that experience and stuff. And like the one girl scene, she saw the little girl, and she described her almost to a T. And I mean, just
and when we would go out and take a break,
freaking amazing.
She would look up in the window and she'd say, "I'll be back, little girl, and we'll play dolls. I'll be back. I'll come back." And this was through the course of the night. And she kept saying, "Well, I'll come back in and we'll play." And then at one point she was singing. What was she singing, Jay? She sang "Mary Had a Little Lamb" and "Jingle Bells."
Yeah, she kept singing "Jingle Bells"
because that's what the little girl liked.
Mm-hmm. And what was kind of amazing about it is the special needs lady kept calling this little girl a name, kept saying her name, kept saying, "Why do you keep following me around? Why go talk to somebody else? I don't want to sing another song." The next day, we're talking with Rob and Terry about it and stuff. I was telling him, and it was the exact same name that the 6-year-old girl up the street said her friend's name was. They never spoke or saw each other.
Yeah.
I was like, you're kidding me. We got a 6-year-old and a 30-some-year-old lady who have now described the same person, the same little girl, the same age, about her wet in the bed, and singing songs, and now the same damn name. I was absolutely amazed. I really was. It was amazing to me.
And then do you remember when Robin said last year when they put the lights up?
Yeah, the little girl liked the lights.
That she liked the lights because then now she could play, because he's got what are they? Rope lighting.
Well, he puts them on timers now, so that way they come on different times at the buildings for the little ghost girl, because she liked the lights that came on.
Yeah, she told that other little girl down the road that she liked the lights because now she could play in the window with her dolls and still see outside.
Mm-hmm.
So Robin puts a timer on the lights there. That way she has light to play.
How cool. I mean, this, like I said, this does bring up questions about the human factor, energy levels coming into a location in a different way to just recreating something that we would normally do on an investigation. You experienced something this weekend that is incredibly difficult to bring on a regular basis into normal investigations because, like I said, you've got to look at your location and try and bring, if you want to look at the human factor, try and bring that kind of person along. You can't do that on a regular investigation, but you have been privy to something quite special this weekend, I think.
I would say by far, to date, and all the investigations we've done, all the events we've got to be blessed to be a part of and stuff, and some of the wonderful people that I've met, investigation-wise, this will have to be at the top of my favorites.
I would agree.
And I would say this would probably be harder than hell to knock off the top of my list, to see those special needs people and the way they interacted and the respect and the dignity and the curiosity and the openness to try and learn. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Yes, it was.
And the response they got from the actual location itself.
Yes. And what they took from it and how they want to come back and learn more. It was absolutely, like I said, I'm almost willing to pay for them myself to come back just so I could work with them again.
Yeah.
Just so I could watch and listen to them because it was such a learning experience for me also.
So what would interest me is if you took them to a different location that didn't have that common factor.
You know what? I think with the way that they were progressing and with the respect that they have and the sincerity that they have, I think they could actually do quite well. I really do. They didn't have that pre-clouded judgment about things. They were very much, because all they want to be is accepted, and they're so used to people judging them that they have open acceptance of others. So I think they would do quite well. I really do.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get at on that point is if you look at the Singapore theory and you look at bringing in, that energy, that same mental level, as it were, that existed when that place was like normally running, and you brought those people into the investigation that, you had such a good response. If you took them to a location that didn't have that mental state, that you took them to a prison, for example, yes, they may still embrace the investigation in that way, but would the interaction from the spiritual side of it,
I see what you're saying there.
location, do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
That's where I'm going with that thought. That would be interesting to me.
I see what you're saying now, because like Teresa stopped investigating. She's so used to doing schools and things like that where children and other people are at. When we went to Mansfield Reformatory, I told her, you can't go in and do your normal thing. Hi, would you like to speak to me tonight? I'd really like to see you, please. I'm like, they're going to respond to that. They're like, what the hell is wrong with this lady? Because that's not the environment.
Right.
You truly, no matter what, need to match your environment, and not on every situation. Like a residential is a total ballgame. But if you're going to a prison, you can't talk to people in a prison like you would talk to somebody in an elementary school.
I don't know.
Just not
you might get a reaction, just not the one you want. They might get an EVP like, I'll cut you, bitch.
Talk to me like that again, I'm going to black your eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was...
But I've always found that, if you're genuine and open and definitely, Kerry, you said, not judging, non-judgmental with what you're communicating with, then you always get better results, always. But I have to say, with the type of people we're talking about here, I wouldn't want to put them in a prison situation for an investigation. Because the reaction you might get is actually going to end up being amplified by, I think it would probably more likely cause fear.
Yeah, true. It would be an interesting experiment, but not a particularly responsible experiment.
Yeah. I would take, I would take in the smaller jailhouses or something like that, possibly. I wouldn't take, he's got a point. Prison might be too much. Like Mansfield or something like that would be too much.
I wouldn't do that.
Because they may think that you're getting ready to be locked up or something. You don't know how their response to it would be.
Not only that, but the interaction may not be good.
Yeah, you might get an adverse reaction because of who they are and what was there and the type of prejudices and predispositions that they may have, the spirits that is, and then causing activity that actually traumatizes or scares or affects negatively the investigators. So I mean, you really for those type of places, I really think you need to be in a certain mentally prepared to deal with what happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you could take your redneck friends to the prison, Joe.
I have taken my redneck friends to prison. I went there with Rick.
Do you know what I mean? And see what response you got from like that kind of thing. But it did throw up interesting questions in my mind when I was listening to you talking in regards to the human factor. But like I say, it's incredibly hard to implement that on general investigations. It's incredibly hard to implement it. And actually, I think that's one of the reasons why this weekend was such a special investigation for you, because it was the right place, the right time, the right location, the right energy signatures coming off the people that attended the investigation. And it's not something you're going to easily be able to recreate on a, day-to-day, as it were, investigation. But it threw up in very, very interesting questions to me in my mind. But as I say, it's one of those that not easy to always implement.
And you know what? It's such a good topic that we only got about 30 seconds left here. So thank you guys for listening to everything tonight. Actually, he says 35 seconds. But thank you all for joining us tonight. Kerry, thank you for everything. And thank you for bringing up about this investigation, because it was such a very heartfelt investigation to me.
No, I could tell when we were talking about it. And as I say, it threw up loads of questions in my mind, which is always a good thing. And it's been an interesting way of looking at the Singapore theory on a different level to what normal people would necessarily look at it. So, yeah, it's been great. I really enjoyed it. And I wish I could have been there.
You will.
You will.
Oh, I know. I'm saving like a mad woman.
Ding, we got to go. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Everyone.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.